Join me as I dive into a heartfelt conversation with a kid about innocence and vulnerability, and see if I can keep my composure while they share their unfiltered thoughts. You know, being a kid is all about discovering the world around you, and one of the most precious things about childhood is the innocence and vulnerability that comes with it. It's a time when you're still learning about the world, figuring out what's right and wrong, and trying to make sense of everything. And that's exactly why it's so important for us to have this conversation. Because the way we approach innocence and vulnerability in childhood can have a huge impact on who we become as adults. When you're a kid, you're constantly navigating new situations and trying to make sense of them. You're learning to interact with others, figuring out how to make friends, and trying to please the people around you. And in the midst of all this, you're also learning to navigate your own emotions and deal with the ups and downs of life. It's a tough job, and it can be really overwhelming at times. But what's even more challenging is that the minute you start to show any sign of vulnerability, the world around you can start to label you as weak or too sensitive. We live in a society that values strength and resilience, and sometimes that means that we're taught to hide our true feelings and put on a brave face. But the problem is, when we do this, we start to lose touch with our own vulnerability. And that's when the trouble starts. We become afraid to show our true selves, and we start to put on masks to hide our emotions. It's like if you're a kid and you fall down, you're supposed to get back up and keep going, right? But what if you're really hurt and you need someone to talk to? What if you're feeling scared or sad and you don't know how to express it? And that's not even mentioning the pressure from social media and the internet, where everyone's always trying to present this perfect image of themselves. It's like, if you're not posting happy selfies and fun videos, then there must be something wrong with you. But the truth is, nobody's perfect, and we all have our struggles. And if we can't be real about our own vulnerability, then how can we ever expect to be real with each other? I remember when I was a kid, I used to be so scared of monsters under my bed. I would lie awake at night, too afraid to move or even breathe, because I was convinced that something was lurking in the shadows, just waiting to grab me. And you know what? It was terrifying. But my mom would always come in and talk to me, and she'd be like, "Hey, I know you're scared, but I'm here for you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you." And just knowing that she was there for me, that made all the difference. Another time I remember, I was at school and I got into a fight with my best friend. We were both so upset and we didn't know how to fix things. But then our teacher sat us down and talked to us, and she was like, "You know, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to make mistakes. But what's important is that you learn to forgive each other and move forward." And that lesson stuck with me to this day. Those experiences taught me that vulnerability isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something to be proud of. It takes courage to be real, to be honest, and to be open. And when we can do that, that's when we start to build real connections with each other. That's when we start to grow and learn. One of the things I've realized is that embracing vulnerability is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes a lot of courage to be real, to be honest, and to be open. And when we can do that, that's when we start to build real connections with each other. That's when we start to grow and learn. So the next time you're feeling scared or sad or vulnerable, remember that it's okay to be real. Remember that it's okay to ask for help, to talk to someone, or to just take a minute to breathe. In the end, it's all about finding that balance between innocence and vulnerability. We need to protect our innocence, but we also need to value our vulnerability. We need to teach our kids that it's okay to be real, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that it's okay to be scared sometimes. Because when we can do that, that's when we start to build a world that's full of empathy, compassion, and love. Thanks for tuning in to this heartfelt conversation about innocence and vulnerability. If you have any stories or experiences you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. And if you want to watch more videos like this, be sure to check out our next video on the importance of self-acceptance in kids.